Winter in North Idaho is magical. Unless your pipes freeze, your furnace quits, and you realize you should have watched this video first.
Winter here is beautiful, but it also comes with some real responsibilities as a homeowner. Between freezing temperature, snow loads, and icy roads, being prepared truly makes all the difference.
In today's video, we are sharing practical winter home maintenance tips that every North Idaho homeowner should know, whether you already live here or whether you're thinking about making the move.
We'll walk you through some simple things that you can do to protect your home, avoid costly repairs, and make winter living in North Idaho a whole lot easier.
And you'll want to be sure and stick around with us till the very end, because we are also going to talk about why winter is actually one of the best times to buy a home in North Idaho and why so many buyers overlook it.
Now, let's get into some extra winter tips that can really save you stress and money, especially during the colder months.
All right, so we want to even just give you a couple extra tips. In your home, you're always going to want to keep your heat above 55 degrees. And you always want to know where your main water shutoff is located.
You also want to keep your propane topped off, because the last thing you want to have to do is try and figure out how to get a propane tank up and get it filled if it's in the middle of winter. And especially a lot of the propane, folks with propane tanks actually are pretty far up, or they just have roads that are really tough to get to anyway. So propane, and then also ice melt. So for those of you who don't know, we use ice melt on our walkways and things like that to try and get rid of the snow. So
yep. Also, you always want to make sure to trim your heavy snow-prone branches. That way snow's not either falling on you or your house. And another good one is always change your furnace filter, because a dirty one actually makes it work harder.
For sure. Another trick is reverse your ceiling fan. So a lot of people don't know the ceiling fans actually go two different ways. So you want to reverse it so that it actually pushes the warm air down, and then the summer you want to flip it back so that it actually is bringing the warm air out. So make sure you reverse your ceiling fan, and then test your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. This is a time of year where a lot of things are closed up. You're not getting good airflow. So the last thing you want to have is any kind of carbon monoxide or smoke or anything like that in your home. So make sure that you've got those tested.
Exactly. Keep your vents clear of snow as well. And always have an emergency kit ready, because you never know when a winter storm outage is coming. So always have like extra water, blankets, anything that you can do to make it through the night, even if that means like your phone is fully charged or you have like an extra battery charging pack.
And snacks, especially if you're hiding.
Definitely.
You want to make sure you have snacks.
Yes.
Keep the snow off outside heat pumps. So regardless if you've got a furnace with a heat pump, or if you've got mini splits, which are super popular, if you're not familiar, but you can put them in different rooms to kind of have better zoned coverage. But you want to make sure that those heat pumps are not having snow covering them. They want to make sure that they get good airflow and that we're not burning up those heat pumps. And cabinet doors. Just open those cabinet doors and let the warm air and the snow fall. The warm air circulate. Remember a couple years ago, we actually had a seller that had her home and the pipes froze while she was away. And so we were able to fix that, but yeah.
And then this one might seem kind of silly, but it actually helps. If you just let your faucets drip a little bit, it actually helps your pipes from freezing too. And then also, you always want to make sure that you insulate your basement and crawl space pipes.
Definitely. And then kind of just a little fun one, you want to have, or it's nice to have, a boot dryer handy, because how many times are we coming in and we're just like soaking wet? You don't really have those extra 2 or 3 pairs of boots. So if you have that boot dryer handy, and they're really inexpensive, that's nice to get it dried out really quick.
Exactly.
And then another one that people don't think about is the thermostat batteries. So we forget everything is just so electronic and just happens that we forget sometimes that those thermostats a lot of times have batteries in them. And the last thing that you want to have happen is your thermostat goes out. Your heater would be working fine, but you didn't replace those batteries, and so now you're without heat.
Right. Yeah, not everyone has like a wood stove. And then another important one is always inspect your roof flashing and your chimneys and your chimney caps. So annual cleanings here are a must.
You want to make sure that you don't have that creosote again. You don't want to have a fire happening inside your chimney. And a lot of people don't really even pay attention to the actual chimney cap. So a lot of times people don't get up on the roof, or if you don't have an inspection or whatnot. So it can be a really bad fire hazard. So make sure you're checking those out.
Yeah, exactly. And as we're listing all this, we know that it sounds like a lot, but once you're here, it actually becomes second nature. So if you're still thinking about making the move here to North Idaho, well then,
which we would recommend.
yes.
But it's a great season for house hunting. Winter is actually a really good time to look for a home here in North Idaho.
Yep, because while everyone else is waiting for the spring, winter can actually give you a huge advantage.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't looking at that time. They don't want to make the move, so there's less competition, there's less pressure. There's oftentimes fewer buyers that are actively shopping really from December to February. So that means that there's a lot less competition out there.
And fewer bidding wars, which gives you more room to breathe and make smarter decisions.
And for our out-of-state clients, this is really huge because you're not fighting with all those big summer crowds. We have a lot of tourists in the summer season, and everyone wants to buy then.
Yep, because it seems so like touristy. It looks great to live here, but then come winter, everyone's like, maybe I don't know. And then also sellers are more motivated. So winter is naturally a quieter season, and the sellers who list during this time are doing so because they either need to relocate, they want to close before the spring, they're more serious about selling, and that can mean more willingness to negotiate.
Yeah, definitely. You can also kind of see how a home performs in the real conditions, and this is really one of the big advantages of shopping in the winter. Then you get to see how is it heated. You know, you were showing earlier about making sure that you're caulking so you're not getting the drafts that are coming in through the windows. I mean, those type of things can cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month just for your utilities.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the driveway.
Yeah.
So if you got someone that's out in the boondocks or even like in town sometimes. How many times do we drive up to a house that we're going to show a client or if we're going to list for a client and we're like, oh, that driveway is a little bit steep.
Yeah.
But then you compound that by the winter and the ice. And so again, you can see real world what it looks like at that point.
Yeah, and you also want to make sure to check how like the roof handles the snow load. So that's really big here, or metal roofs too.
Yeah, for sure. And whether the home has good winter access, how icy the road around it gets. So a lot of folks are looking for that out of town homesteading type lifestyle. And so that's really great, but you want to make sure you know who or what is taking care of the roads. Is there a road maintenance agreement? Is that something that you're going to be responsible? Do you need a plow?
Yeah, is it city? Is it county? There's a lot of variation when it comes to plowing the roads around here.
Yeah. And you can see how the neighborhood feels in the winter. In the summer, you can't really see that. So,
yep. So now you can get a true feel for North Idaho living. So clients moving from like Arizona, Florida, Texas, anywhere warm love this. So winter house hunting gives them an honest sense of the weather, the insight into what the winter driving and how close you are actually to like grocery stores, coffee shops, and how far it is in the snow.
Yeah, you can also tell which neighborhoods get plowed. So we have it set up here depending on really exactly where you live. If you're the highways get plowed first, and then if you're certain parts of the city, and then if you're in the county, and then if you're outside the county, again, that road maintenance agreement. So if you're living maybe out in the boondocks or even not that far out, sometimes there may be a road maintenance agreement. It might be a road that they don't plow at all.
Exactly.
So you want to make sure that you're well aware of that. And the wintertime kind of brings that to light. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And the summer you might not be thinking about it as much. It's like, oh, it'll be fine. And then you move in and you're like, oh, shoot, I need a plow.
Yeah, so that's another thing is like a lot of homeowners, if their roads aren't plowed, they either have a four-wheeler with a plow on it or their trucks have plows on it. Yeah. So that kind of brings us into this real unfiltered North Idaho living, and that helps you guys make confident choices.
Yeah, we want to make sure that people know exactly what they're getting into. And sometimes when you're in the middle of summer, oh, it's just so beautiful and fun and inviting. But yeah, we could not function at our property without having a plow.
Yeah, exactly.
So the inspectors also catch a lot in the winter that they might not catch in the summertime. Again, we talked about like the drafty windows, or if you have poor insulation, slow furnaces, because they most likely will turn on the furnace in the summer, but it's already 80, 90, 100 degrees out. So you don't necessarily realize that it's not working at its full potential. And then some of the roof issues that we talked about before. So you've got the ice buildup. And we didn't mention it earlier, but a lot of people actually will put heat tape on the edges of their roof. So that helps also with the ice damming. So it melts it, make sure it gets off the roof quickly. So there's some other things that you might not think of if you're moving from a warm climate.
Exactly. And then another bonus to shopping in the winter is that you have faster access to lenders, inspectors, and contracts. contractors. So since winter is the slower season for real estate, your lenders, your inspectors, appraisers, contractors, your cleaners, your movers, everyone involved in the transaction often have a wider availability and faster turnaround time. So everything moves more smoothly.
For sure. Contractors, depending on what it is, maybe, but the rest of them, yeah, definitely much more availability, so you can move pretty quick. So it's also a chance to get into your home before spring. So buying in the winter means that you can be fully settled by spring, that you can have time to plan projects again, especially if you're out on some property, maybe homesteading and some things to do. That kind of gives you time to plan that out for when spring hits. And then you have time to enjoy North Idaho in its peak season in the middle of summer. So it's really perfect timing.
Agreed.
So we want to thank you so much for joining us on this snowy adventure through beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Winter truly does bring a special kind of magic to this community.
So if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing, we'd love to help you discover what life really is like here. From cozy winter days to unforgettable summer nights, we're here to guide you through every season.
So don't forget, you want to make sure you like, subscribe, and tap that bell so you never miss our newest video. Every week we share neighborhoods, market updates, and everything you need to know about living right here in North Idaho.
So if Coeur d'Alene caught your eye, whether you're in sunshine or snow, just call, text, or email, or hop onto our calendar and schedule a Zoom call with us. All of our contact information is to the right of this video.
We're Tammy and Heidi, your North Idaho Realtors.